afternoon. From anybody in the U.S., it's afternoon. Anyway, so we're here today. Obviously, you guys can see I'm here with Nosey, Ren, and Mr. Jynx. Mr. Ripper will be with us shortly here. He said he might be about 5 minutes late, so we'll be seeing him shortly. So those of you who are all covered in tiger juice, don't worry. He'll be here. So anyway, all right. All righty. So obviously we plan to talk about a few different things today. Obviously, there's the one thing that's really on everybody's mind right now that everybody's looking at and we're all properly outraged by, for the most part anyways, is the unfortunate circumstances that led to George Floyd's death in Minneapolis recently. It's an unfortunate situation, but there's a lot of things happening right now that I think are some things that are negative, but then there's a lot of other things that are happening right now that I think are positive. I'm going to give the two ladies a chance to talk here if they want to, but some of the things that I think are good for people to focus on that are coming out of this is talk about qualified immunity. SCOTUS is coming under some heat right now to do something about this qualified immunity doctrine that they have cobbled together. A lot of people are blaming it for how this situation has gotten so far out of control. I think there may be something to that. They have two cases in SCOTUS this week that have to do with this precise issue with cops overusing cops, violating constitutional rights, in their duty, in the process of doing their duty, I guess you might say. Two cases are before SCOTUS right now, and this is going to give SCOTUS a chance to make some kind of an amendment to qualified immunity, perhaps lowering the bar that will allow people to actually, the bar that you have to meet right now to be able to bring a civil suit against a police officer is so ridiculously high, nobody can meet it. It's so ridiculously high. And so maybe they want to bring that bar down. Maybe they want to, do whatever. So that's one of the things that's happening, a peaceful thing, a useful thing that could potentially come from this. Another one is a senator that's currently talking about putting up a bill to just completely knock out qualified immunity and prevent the Supreme Court from trying to cobble together that case law the way they've done, and replace it with a piece of legislation, which would be a lot more binding. So that's another avenue. These are some of the things that are getting talked about. I want to also give a shout out to all the people out there protesting peacefully. Tracy Keogh has been posting on Twitter some amazing marches that are going on in Australia that I thought were remarkable, and there were so many people marching, and it was all peaceful. So my hat's off to all the people out there that are displaying that they are outraged about this, but they aren't out there destroying their own cities and neighborhoods in the process of it. That's what evolved human beings do, and so I'm very proud of that. But at this point, now that I've gone on a bit on my rant, I'm going to go ahead and give Nosey a chance to talk about some of the situation.
Hey everyone. So I'm pretty hardcore. I am mad about it, I think, like everyone else is, to watch situations like Ahmaud and then we don't even have time to heal from that, and then something like this happens. But I'm really glad that these things are going to be examined at the Supreme Court. I'm just catching up on an article I was reading earlier that it's a 50-year-old doctrine, qualified immunity, law enforcement officers is shielded cops from civil suits. And I've been talking about for a long time about the prosecutorial immunity ruling under SCOTUS for a long time. And I think that's another one that needs to be majorly overturned and rewritten and just completely redone. The zero accountability for law enforcement, and I think it will tell us everything about our criminal justice system if, after everything that has transpired in the last week, if this qualified immunity law is not either overturned, rewritten, just completely changed. It will tell us everything we need to know about where, the American citizens stand with the criminal justice system. So I think it would be crazy for them not to change something that has caused an entire outbreak. I read today The National Guard is deployed to 24 states, and there have been protests in over 584 cities across America. And I don't know, I really don't know what else the American people could do to say, hey, we are not taking it anymore.
Right.
That's just kind of where I'm at.
I agree. I mean, I agree with that because, I mean, even the most conservative, like, police organizations, like the ones that normally come out defending police officers in this type of a situation, they're looking at this one. We're not touching that with a 10-foot pole. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even them, they're like, no, dude, this guy, whoa. I mean, and rightfully so, dude. I mean, the guy was on camera for 9 minutes kneeling on a dude's neck. I mean, what can you really try to say? I mean, it's not like it was instant with a gun where when they're using a gun, they pull the trigger and it's instant. It happens. It's like, no, this happened over the course of 9 freaking minutes.
And he was playing for his life.
Yes. Right. So, yeah, it's absolutely tragic. And I'm glad everybody's paying attention now because now they're thinking about things like qualified immunity and stuff like that. I mean, like what, I don't know if you guys know what, like if you guys ever heard about Philando Castile, but what happened in that situation was tragic, absolutely stupid. And when you watch the officer that shot him, I don't know what the jury was looking at, but I was sitting there going, dude, what the hell is this guy doing with a badge and a gun? Because he's pulling Philando Castile over, but the whole time he's dealing with Philando Castile, he looks like a chihuahua that's about to piss on the rug. Like he looks like he is uncomfortable in his own skin. And so no wonder he got a little buggy and shot Philando Castile. It's like, so I have questions like that about, was this guy even qualified? But then, like I say, none of these things get gone through because the system, through things like qualified immunity, has basically become uninterested in figuring out what's going on and why these things are happening. They're just like, oh, well, they happen, few and far between, so we'll just ignore it. Well, that's not working anymore.
Well, something I was watching not too long ago is I think it's in the UK, they have a lot more training before they can even become an officer. As in the United States, they have like 15 weeks, whereas like I think they said in the UK 3 years or something that they have to train before they can become an officer. And they have less of these, cop doing murder, there's less of that, less people getting killed. They're taught to de-escalate, not escalate. And I think a lot of that needs to change too. They need more training on how to de-escalate things rather than to just, whip out the tear gas or on someone's neck or,
And Jynxie, to add to your point, you literally said it perfectly for me to say this. I just realized, I got my cosmetology license back in 2010. You have to complete 1,500 hours. Now, just to make that a little simpler, that's 10 months, okay, that you have to complete schooling and just to do hair and shampoo someone's head and cut their hair and color it, whatever. 1,500 hours. The average officer only has to have around, I believe it was 840 hours that I saw. Now, that is just absolutely, that's insane to me. And I was told earlier, 2 of the officers had been on the force with this guy as their trainer for 4 days, and now they're facing charges because of this man. And I think that falls on the city. I think that falls on everything about the city and everything about that police department.
That's wrong because he was an officer for 4 days. He was still in training, but he was an officer, right? He took his oath, right? And that oath is that on their honor, they will never betray the badge, the character, their integrity, or the public trust. And they will always have the courage to hold themselves and others accountable. So they should be holding themselves and others accountable. He had the right to say, no, I'm not gonna sit on this guy's back any longer. He's unconscious.
Right.
Yeah.
Morally, he should have, and he didn't, and that's what makes him culpable, in my opinion.
I agree with that. I'm not excusing him. I'm just saying what a shame for if
Welcome,
these
Ripper.
guys thought that, hey Ripper, thought that what they were watching was, standard for them, or he's our trainer. He's, obviously what he's doing is okay. But my thing was, well, what about the bystanders? Because an average citizen would be charged to the fullest for not rendering aid. But how are you supposed to render aid to someone that is being
And then
killed
there's
by
lawsuits
police
that are
officers?
Without fearing that the boot
there
might end
are
up on your neck, you mean? Right?
Yes.
There
Right.
are lawsuits that come to people who do take action in a serious situation. A guy's in a car accident, she's a nurse, she pulls him out, and then they sue her anyway because she took action not being a paramedic. So where do you win? It's like a double-edged sword, in my opinion.
Well,
I agree.
Well, that's another side of, our legal system, obviously. Some people are a bit too happy. But to get it back to this situation, there's another little thing that sprung up from this, and I'll probably be intrigued to hear Ripper's particular thoughts on this one. But you guys may have seen the clip of the protest where the two police officers pushed down as like a 70-year-old protester and like pushed him down rather hard, and then were just kind of callous. One officer went to kind of help him up, and another officer was like, pushing him like, no, move along. We don't have time for that kind of thing, right? Well, those two officers got fired. And I guess now the other 57 officers that were on that particular squad or that force within this department have all, they all say they resigned, right? They use the term resign. Well, what they did was they resigned from that particular little task force. They're all still getting paid. They're all employed by the same department. They just left that one particular part, of the force. So I thought that was an interesting situation. What do you think about that one, Ripper, since you finally just got here? Any thoughts about that one? Uh-oh. He's having audio trouble. All right, well, then we'll have to go back.
That's because you're muted, so unmute yourself.
Oh, he is muted. Yeah, that's true.
Bye.
He has to work on some technical things, folks. He'll be back shortly. All right. So but what I was saying about that, the old man that was pushed down, and that I get the solidarity maybe there, but at the same time, it's like, man, you're condoning.
And again, they should be holding themselves and that guy who pushed them down accountable. That's part of their oath.
Good riddance, in my opinion. I mean, you may not have quit the force, but hey, peace out. Y'all did a service to American citizens by not being on this kind of, force. Like, who even does that? That was tough to watch. That really hurt my heart.
To me, it looked like the guy was walking up to him to ask him a question, said something to him, and all I heard was the chanting to push him back. All of a sudden, a guy came between them. That was the hardest video to watch. And then that crack, you can hear it, like his head hitting and the bleeding out of his ears. I'm in shock with all of the videos that I've been seeing about, all of it. It's not a girl sitting on, she must have been pepper sprayed. She was on her knees and she had her hands above her, like blocking her face. And some cop just walks over to her and kicks her over. And I was like, what the fuck is this? I'm sorry, I shouldn't swear, but it's so emotional just talking about it. I get all these goosebumps and emotions. It's very hard to watch the violence for me.
Yeah, I agree, and that was one thing, obviously, where the cops were kind of out of line, pushing that older gentleman like that and being kind of careless. But I don't know. Like I said, I just thought it was interesting that none of those cops actually left their jobs. I mean, they're obviously trying to make a big deal about it, but the fact is, none of them left their jobs. They're all still on the payroll, getting paid. All they're doing is, I don't know. All they're doing is saying, "Well, we're not willing to help our community in that way."
Their statement is contradicting because, look, I'm going to resign from this, task force for whatever it was, first responding. I don't remember what it was, but so they're standing up for their brother in blue, but at the same time, they're really not, because they're still keeping their jobs and their livelihoods.
Yeah.
And
Right.
to me, it's kind of a double.
Well, yeah.
They don't
They
know
haven't
what they
actually
want to do.
sacrificed anything.
Right.
You know, all they've done is take away service from the public. That's
Right.
all they've done. They're still collecting taxpayers' money for their salary or for their pay. You know what I mean? So anyways.
Oh, you mean it's the protesters' tax dollars that pay them to have them kicked
Right.
over and pushed over?
Amongst other people, yeah, but they are among the taxpayers as well. Many of them, I would imagine, yes. Yeah, so that's
there's been a ton of terrible videos, but there's been a lot of really great videos too.
I did like seeing that Michigan video. I'm not sure who posted it, but I saw how the sheriff came out and said, what do you need from us? They were like, we need you to walk with us. And that's what they did. And that gives me goosebumps even just saying it now. That was a good video to watch. A good one.
Yep.
I haven't seen as many as those as I have the violence and the
right. Hey, and Michelle Moore tweeted the other day about a friend of theirs, an LAPD officer who did the same thing. Him and his squad or whatever kneeled and kind of marched with the peaceful protesters for a while. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that's going to help diffuse this current situation. So, guess who's back, folks? Let's see if he's got his technical difficulties worked out. How you doing there, Mr. Ripper? Uh-oh. Still
no, I'm just kidding.
Oh, there we go. How you doing, buddy?
I'm all right. Sorry I'm late.
No worries, man.
Got so much going on.
Water pump? No, anyway.
Water pump, crankshaft pulley, belt tensioner pulley.
Some serious mechanical work there.
Yeah, it's all good though. Yeah. I enjoy it.
Were you making a how-to YouTube video while you were doing it?
No, because I need an extra. Like if I had 3 hands, I would do that, but I don't.
Right. Sure. I know what you mean.
You guys were talking about law enforcement, National Guard, and the public.
Yes.
I encourage everybody, whenever you come in contact with a law enforcement officer or someone that's in our service, armed services, just ask them whose side are they going to be on when Judgment Day comes, when the people rise up against the government. What side are they going to pick? Because eventually it's going to happen. You have people out protesting right now, peaceful protest, and the National Guard is out there. I mean, I understand for riots and things like that, sure. Yes. But there's places where there's not rioting going on, and the National Guard, you got armed guys out there at peaceful protest. It's not necessary.
Right.
But ask them, whose side are they going to be on when the day comes, when they have to pick either the side of tyranny or the side of the people? Right. I encourage everybody to ask them that one question. That way they think, they need to think about when the day comes, who do I want to be with?
And that question has more power right now, folks, because everybody is looking at what's happened. So when you ask that question now, you're going to get them in the right frame of mind to really be thinking about it on its merits if you do it now. So it's a good point. So what do you think about those officers that were showing their solidarity, basically, I guess, supporting the 2 officers that pushed down that 70-year-old man?
It goes right along with the other 3 officers who did not help protect George Floyd. It's this blue line brotherhood, and you defend the blue line at all cost. That's what it was. They all just walked past this guy, and then eventually, I think it was a couple of National Guards people that actually kneeled down next to him. But right. Where's the human factor come into play in all this stuff? You have a guy laying on the ground bleeding, and as a public servant, you just keep walking by. Right. I mean, it's sickening, it's disgusting, and the people aren't going to put up with it for much longer.
I agree. Things are at a kind of a boiling point. I mean, people are getting pretty fed up. And, well, here, let me show you. This is about pretty much how bad it's getting. Here in where I live, yesterday, if I can figure out how to get myself up here, this was being passed around at the rally. Now, this shows you how serious people are about seeing an end to seeing things like this on their TV screens of cops abusing their power in this way. But I don't agree with this option, by the way, folks. I think this is way overkill myself, personally. But yeah, the conversation's getting pretty freaking serious out there, you know?
But how do you defund? How do you defund the police?
Well, that's what they're trying to. That's the idea is for them to get government to stop funding the police departments or funding them less. You know, and that's not really any real solution.
You have to have
fund them
like me,
more and give them more training.
Yeah. Right, and if you're like me, you believe 95 to 98% of the cops out there are actually good guys that really just want to help their communities. You know, it's really the bad apples like Chauvin who push things to this point. You know, so it's not that I necessarily believe all police are bad. I just think that if you remove all consequence, as the Supreme Court has done, they've just removed all consequence. And so how are these officers ever gonna? How are they going to fear? How are they ever going to think, well, maybe I'm exerting a little too much force here. Maybe I should let up. They don't have to think that because they can err on brutality and they know they're going to be saved by qualified immunity. So there's not the thought to let up isn't there, especially with certain officers like Chauvin.
Opposite end. They should be giving you double time if you're a cop and break the law because you should be held above the law that way.
It's like speeding in a work zone.
You are the one who's supposed to be protecting the laws, and then you're the one breaking them. So that makes it very.
It is very hypocritical. Yes.
And you know what else happens? They have qualified immunity, but not only that, a lot of them will get promoted after the fact. If they stand up for the blue line and they defend other people in the blue line brotherhood, they end up getting promoted. You see it time after time after time.
Chad Cronister.
they get promoted. It's ridiculous.
Right?
And Andy's another one. And you could talk to Charles Boswell. I'm sure he can tell you stories about people that get promoted that break the law.
Right. Yeah, I'd actually would be willing to talk to him. I digging that guy. I was reading about Megan today. We'll talk about later. So
he would talk to you. I'm sure he's a good guy.
I'll definitely reach out to him. I certainly want to help him get elected. I'd like to see him in that place. So
you know what he needs then? More exposure. So get him on your show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll reach out to him as soon as we're done here. I'll send a message or over an email or something over to him. So
I'll send him a message right now.
All right.
Let's see what he's doing right now.
Yeah. Hey, if he's free at the moment, we'll send him a link.
Yeah, exactly.
So that, you know, and like we're talking about, folks, and although I'm not against Black Lives Matters myself, folks, I just want to point out that the brutality does happen to more than one race. And I want to point that out because I know I'm very passionate about Michael Funk at Eagle Nation Cycles in Neenah, Wisconsin. Michael Funk was a hostage shot by a police officer under very, very, very shaky circumstances. The officer should not have been involved at the point when he, shot. And so anyways, it's another case, but obviously it's the law enforcement across the board. It's, and I did want to just make that one little point.
Hey, I'll tell you a case you could look into.
Oh, yeah.
What's the case in Ohio, Jinx? The Terry, what's that case
Terry
up there?
Thompson. What's his name? Terry Thompson. What's his name?
Oh, yes, that's it.
Terry Thompson out of Ohio. I'm telling you, there are people that will jump all over that with you. And,
Yes.
and that's actually something, there's enough evidence out there already that you could turn that thing upside down real quick. But we don't have time to do it. But if someone took that on, I'm telling you, supposedly it was a suicide, but the guy, how far was the gun away from the guy? Like 10 feet or 15 feet away?
I don't know, but it's got some ridiculous details to it that are just immediately make you go like, what?
The guy committed suicide with his pants down around his ankles. And I mean, it's...
Yeah.
All the locks on his cages were cut, but they said the animals broke free, but that's not true. They were literally cut. So
they tried to make it look like he was attacked by his exotic pets.
Right.
But there's enough evidence and documents out there right now that someone could definitely jump on that and have a heyday with that.
Yeah, and some people do feel like that trail leads to another trail.
Right. We'll just leave it at that.
Well, yeah. Another case of rabbit holes. Right on.
It goes to the same rabbit hole that we're in right now. Or the same hole. The same mole hole.
Alrighty, so.
Did you write tiger juice on that bottle yet?
It's there. It says it, tiger juice, quality of life.
Yep, there you go. Somebody's here in chat. They said they're already lathered in tiger juice and ready.
Oh, no.
That was way in the beginning.
We're talking about tiger juice.
There's someone in the comments saying that Terry was murdered.
Yes.
See, there are people that want someone to look into that case.
Okay.
Terry's wife, Marion, would appreciate it. Oh, hey, Jane Baker.
Well, I'm obviously intrigued by it, so I'll check it out. Maybe I'll get my secretary on Scottish Independence to help me look into it. So that's Miss Sharon Sunshiny. So, anyways, but it sounds interesting though. It does.
It is.
So, anyways, speaking of tiger juices and Tiger King and all that sort of stuff, that brings us over to talking about good old Carol Baskin and Don Lewis. And obviously I think there's been some interesting developments there lately that I've noticed, and you guys probably have a few that I may have missed, but the one that was interesting to me, I guess I want to hear you guys expand on, is the fact that she is probably going to get away with the power of attorney and the will because of statute of limitations.
No.
Go ahead, Ripper.
No,
she's not.
No.
Okay.
No.
Criminally, they can't charge anything.
Yeah.
Oh, criminally. Gotcha. Okay, I see where you're going.
Hold on though. However, there might be. Hold on. Let me pull up this case.
Is there a loophole? Is there a loophole?
Are you looking at the thing Tina sent?
Let's see. Florida does have a delayed discovery doctrine that could be applied to forgery.
How about fraud too? Would that be on there too?
It should be.
Forgery and fraud. Okay. And then it has to do with
I'm sorry, I just read Anne McQueen's comment. Y'all be nice now, it's her B-Day.
That's right.
6661.
That's right. It is her birthday. It's Carol's birthday today.
Happy birthday, Carol.
So you know what? As a birthday present for Carol, let me just put something out there today.
Uh-oh.
Carol, can I cuss on this channel?
You can.
Okay. Jynxie did already.
I did already.
All right. Carol fucking Baskin, guess what? The property that was sold in Costa Rica, the real estate agent that you used, tell me, how come the real estate agent does not know anything about that? How come the real estate agent denies that he was even part of those transactions? Huh? How's that happen? I'm just going to leave it right at that. That's all I'm going to say about that, except that the real estate agent was not aware of their license, their information being used when the property was sold in Costa Rica.
Oh, this is all reminding me of the maid and her stamp being sent to Carol Baskin's house.
It's never ending. It's never ending. But I'm just going to leave it right at that, and that's all the information I'm going to put out there. And Carol, happy fucking birthday to you.
Yes, happy birthday. There you go. There's a nice little piece for you.
Miss Annie's going to get you. You said a bad word.
I did say a bad word, but it's part of her name. That's
her middle name.
Isn't that her middle name or not? Maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe
it's an alias. Something. It could be an alias now, I think.
I just thought it was,
my gosh.
I thought it was her name.
If she goes missing, will they put also known as Carol fucking Bass?
They should.
Chris Hansen said we should name it. Today should be official Squirtle Day.
Right.
Oh no.
Yeah, I heard you guys got off
there.
I heard you guys got off onto a tangent on.
No, what are you talking about?
I don't know what you're talking about. I have no memory. After the second beer, I don't know what happened after that. I'll have to go back and watch it.
What's the excuse for the first episode of
Wait, 2 beers, that's it.
Well, Jynxie, you were high. That's what happened. That's all I remember.
I plead the fifth.
Right.
I played the 5th, 6th, 8th, all of it. I don't even know what the 6th is. I'm going to look it up, though, because I've heard someone say they also play the 5th and the 6th. But what is the 6th?
The 14th. That was on that Jeff episode.
14th. That's right. That's what it was. Yeah, so I'm not even going to look it up. I don't need to look it up if it was from him. It's okay. I'll pass. I'll stick with the 5th.
So another thing I saw, I think recently was about Carol apparently got the property from Jeff, or was it
yes, she did.
Yeah. And that was like through an auction or something, or how'd that happen?
No. Jeff,
go ahead,
Joe he lost the lawsuit, and so he started, he sold the zoo to Jeff, and anyways, in between that, he got arrested and sentenced for murder for hire, and Jeff owned it, and then Carol was still entitled, basically, in a nutshell, and so she took over, but she has no intention of taking the animals. She doesn't want the animals, and I've seen pictures of the animals. They don't look the best, so I'm not sure why she's not taking them, but she did win that lawsuit.
Yeah. Well, I tell you
he was expecting it.
And I mean, I'm sure this has probably been talked about by people, but the thing that's funny to me is the fact that Carol and what's his name, Howard, right? That they just thought that these camera crews were coming in and that this was another Blackfish, right? Now, I just want to pause there for a moment, folks. For those of you that have seen Blackfish, okay, Blackfish itself was not pro SeaWorld, right? So that's why when I hear Carol Baskin saying they thought this was going to be a Blackfish type documentary, and they're now complaining about the fact that they're getting negative, kind of response. I mean, it's like, what did you expect if you thought it was a Blackfish documentary? You thought you were somehow better than everybody else, right? Was that basically what Carol was thinking? I think so. And that she somehow held herself in a different esteem, and everybody else was all peons, and the peasants needed to give their, get rid of their big cats because only Queen, Carol effing Baskin can have them. I mean, that's what it comes off as. You know what I mean?
I'd like to make a statement about her. She doesn't want people posing with animals for, that's what, pet zoos are for, and blah, 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 blah. That's what they're trying to stop. She has no problem posing with an animal too. It's just the animal behind the rusted cage of her.
Right.
She did start posing with the animals too. She just doesn't do it in the same way. To me, she was just a hypocrite right off the bat. I couldn't even watch it at first because I was like, hypocrite.
Yeah.
30 minutes in, not even 15 minutes in.
Yeah. That was one question that I've just been kind of thinking about. It's like, obviously, Blackfish wasn't good for SeaWorld. And and the way I see it, her and Joe and who was the one guy that was helping Jeff Lowe fix up the park there? I forget his name.
Him.
Yeah, him.
Park.
Doc. All these guys. They would be like SeaWorld in Blackfish. So the fact that the fact that Carol somehow thought it was going to be a Blackfish style documentary and yet didn't think it was going to reflect negatively on her, I think tells you a lot about Carol Baskin right there. So
She thinks
I think she's trying to make this story about the whole Blackfish, whatever it was called.
right.
And I think her intent in saying that is she's indicating that the producers were doing it about the roadside zoos like Joe and Tim and all those places.
Mhm.
And she was feeling like, oh, well, yeah, just like you said, peasants, like, we're the rescue. We're the ones doing this. We're the ones doing that. But I think that that's a lie. I don't think that, in my personal opinion, why would you be talking about your husband missing in a cat documentary? I don't get it. So I think that
that's
was
what
just
pisses her off. Is it was supposed to be about the cats, and it became about
yeah.
Don. And that's the
Oh
same
yeah.
thing that pissed her off about Joe. Is that I think that's what really got under her skin with Joe is when he started discussing that she had a husband that was missing on his
Yep.
show. She just
The fact that people like the men kind of in her life, whereas obviously Don Lewis being one, obviously Joe wasn't in her life necessarily, but he was a pretty big part of it, obviously. But people are ending up liking these people better than her. I got to imagine that might stick in her craw.
Yeah, that's tough.
Which, I think for Don, Don may have been whatever. Don may have been, whoever he was, but essentially a good guy. He wasn't out murdering and killing and doing those sort of things. He was a pretty nice guy for the most part. But it's like, so it's not, there's no reason not to like Don, but I got to imagine that Carol just thought she would get a little bit more adoration out of this. And it's completely backfired, I think.
sure did.
I think she's just been hustling since she was a very young age. There's a million stories about her childhood and what she went through and whatnot. But the one thing that stays consistent in all of her stories is her making money and her, doing what she had to do to get what she wanted to get. That's one thing about her stories that have never changed. And that, to me, that includes doing what she had to do because she knew Dawn was leaving her.
Just a gold digger.
Right. It was, that's the thing that fits. But once I saw the whole signature thing, that was it. I was like, nope, that's it. And then, Jynxie and I did a video where we went through a lot of the other signatures of Dawn that Jynxie found. We didn't go through all of them, but we went through a fair amount of them. And you can see that Dawn in the marriage certificate dotted his eyes with a slash. He would hit the paper with, and there would be a little bit of a line for the dot. But you can see in some of the ones that Jynxie that has picked up that were between the marriage certificate and the power of attorney and the will, where he had gotten into the habit of doing just a poke for the eyes. It was no longer a dash line above the eye for the dotting of the eye. So I thought there was a lot of interesting things about it. So I'm very thankful that you went out and found those, because that's really what got me convinced.
I'd like to say something about all of those signatures that I found. Is some of them are also Carol's. I don't know if they're Carol's. I assume they are Carol's. I suspect they are Carol's. In my opinion, it was probably her. But there are other forgeries of his name where they're not traced, but they're definitely not his signature. Like somebody was trying to recreate his signature on their own without having anything to trace underneath.
Right.
So There are some of those in there too. I call it the hooker D, right, David Moore? The hooker D, and the really wide and open J, the J loop. So I still have some of those and see which ones were actually Jack Donald's and which weren't. You know,
Right.
Yeah. What's really sad is that we have someone here that actually has to go through documents and figure out which signatures are real and which ones are not. That for 23 years, no one has done this. People that serve the public, people that work at the title company or law enforcement at work, this is their job. This should have been done a long time ago. When it came out that Don's signature was traced, they should have called the notary. The law enforcement should have called Sandra Whitcop. They never did call her. They never called her to say, hey, did you do this? That stuff should have been done a long time ago. But it's really
step one, right? That should have been done.
Yeah, it's really sad that 23 years later, there's someone sitting in their house going through document after document after document, trying to figure out which signature is real and which one is fake.
Right.
I mean, when you think about it, Jynxie doesn't live anywhere near Florida. She has, I don't even, it just baffles my mind.
You don't even know where I live.
I know what state you live in. It's a mental state.
I thought it was a Cloud 9 state.
But going back to the where Carol
It's an altered.
It is altered. It is.
There you go.
With this statute of limitations thing, the one thing that is, Carol talked about, the family signed off on this thing or whatever, saying that they would accept whatever. Well, that was talking about Don's signature being traced. But what nobody knew back then was that the notary's signature was also traced, and the witness signatures were also traced. Nobody knew about that. That's just newly discovered evidence in the last month, 6 weeks. Right. That changes the whole ball game. That opens up so many things when you look at things that can be done legally. So Carol might think that statute of limitations has run out on things, but it has not.
Well, it's interesting what you brought up about the extended statute. So that'll be interesting to see if they meet that bar.
Even if they can't in a criminal court, I'm not going to say anything else. I'm sure everybody saw the TMZ article that came out this morning, and you can read that and figure the rest of it out.
There you go.
If you didn't read it, I'll put it up on the screen so you can share it. I don't know if has everybody seen the article from TMZ today?
So
not today. I think I saw it yesterday, but not today.
All right, I'll pull it up here and then I'll share it.
Okay. So yeah, it's interesting. So that thing with that was another good one, man, when you came up with that. So you're now saying that they're determining that the actual witnesses signatures also and the notary, it was all of it?
All of it.
I think so.
All of it. The whole document's a fraud except for one person. One person's signature. Oh, hold on here. So here's
was her signature even on it?
Yeah, I think
I don't remember her signature even being on it. It was like she didn't even witness it. It was she says she prepared it, I think, but I don't remember her. It was like Jack Donald signed it, and
hold on, let me see if I can find this.
Douglas Edwards and Susan were the witnesses, plus Sandra, and I think that was just it, the four of them.
I'm just looking for one little thing here. Well, I don't know if you can read. I can't zoom in on that for whatever reason, but
Control Plus should do it.
Is that how you do it?
yeah, no, not going to happen.
Oh, it does work that way. I like
Oh,
that.
there we
I
go.
just learned
Oh.
something new.
Oh, hey, looky
There we
there.
go. Success.
Yes.
Now we can
All
read
right,
it.
so we got Carol Baskin's Day of Reckoning is coming. See if I can go a little bit further. Yeah, so
he
anyway,
was so nervous in that interview.
This is the article. All you got to do is search TMZ Donna Pettis, Pettis, and you'll get this article where actually Donna talked to TMZ and talks about them hiring attorneys. They have not hired one just yet, but shortly. Well, I think they'll have an announcement shortly. That's what I'll just leave it at that. It's going to be
I
some
hope
really
so.
good stuff. It's going to be some good stuff.
Right.
I can't wait. I cannot wait.
So yeah, and apparently, folks, if you guys are in the Don Lewis group, that's there as well. So from the comments over here. So, anyways, that's interesting. So I'm gonna go check out that TMZ article when we're done here. So what else? I mean, what else maybe that I've missed that's happened recently? Possibly. I mean, obviously you talked with Charles
Boswell.
Well, yes, and there's some interesting stuff to talk about there, certainly. But in terms of Don Lewis, what other news maybe is there that I meant?
August 15th, there might be a memorial for him, for Don Lewis.
Long awaited.
That's in the talks right now, so that would be nice if there was a memorial, because August 15th is the date that he was probably murdered. So to have a memorial would be, it's time. I mean, there needs to be something. There needs to be a place where the family can go, and if someone wants to, come and pay respects, there should be a place for that. I mean, we know that Carol's got one for her dad out at Big Cat Rescue. She's got a plaque out there with her dad, but she didn't do one.
I'm pretty sure he's also buried in a cemetery.
Oh, her dad?
I'm pretty sure he is also buried and has, a headstone and that kind of thing also.
Oh, probably. And I'm pretty sure Dawn is buried too.
Yeah.
But nobody knows where.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Florida's got a lot of swamps and lots of hiding places. So
yeah, lots of septic systems.
That too.
Lots of properties.
Yeah, lots of properties, gator infested lakes, all kinds of things.
So, all right. So, and obviously you weren't able to get on the properties, even though Carol said that if anybody wanted to come dig them up, right? But you were there, you were ready, right? Shovel in hand.
I never said I did not go on the property. Let me just make that clear. I never said I have not been on the property.
Closed off, so that's why I said that.
Well, I did a video where I was out in front of the property, but you asked that, you said I hadn't ever been on the property or whatever. I'm not going to say I've never been on that property.
All right. Well,
I'm not going to say I was there either.
He was there with his helicopter and his
drone.
black suit, and he got zipped down the rope.
He has the all black drone with black lights for at night. Anyways, no. Anyway.
There is a hotel, and people that have been there know what hotel I'm talking about. But there's a gate back there by this hotel, and the day that I just happened to go there, that gate was open, and there's no signs that say no trespassing or private property. So anybody can just walk in and go about their business. And I mean,
start digging up septic.
But is that her property, or there's a trail also that runs like along her property?
Right, and the gate is off the trail. There's a gate, there's a trail and a gate, and then it goes into the back side. But people that have been there, if there's someone in the chat that have been there, they're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. They'll know exactly what I'm talking about and the place.
Right on. But you weren't able to get at the septic tanks, though. So, right?
No. But she's apparently telling people that someone made a comment on one of her videos, and she made a comment that she told someone that they could do it, but they couldn't bring cameras, and the sheriff's department would have to be there, and no YouTubers or something. And then it just made the person madder and more vindictive. But it wasn't me she was talking about, because she's never responded back to me.
Right.
So I don't know who she's talking about. Maybe she was talking about one of the producers of Tiger King or something. I don't know. Hopefully someone will ask. They'll ask that question. Who were you talking about?
You're too modern.
She was referring. Someone in the group made a comment on her YouTube video and brought up a specific person's business who owns a septic tank business that is someone who is related to someone, in a nutshell, without blabbing it out there.
So that's
who she was referring to when she said, "Fine by me, no cameras, no blah 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 blah."
No YouTubers. That means you ripper.
Yeah, no YouTubers.
I was going to say the fact that she hasn't responded to you at all could actually be evidence that she's just very upset and doesn't even want to talk to you. So I don't know if that's necessarily proof that she's not talking about you. But anyway,
I don't know why she would be upset with me. I mean, I would like for her to tell her side of the story. Sure. I would like for her and Kenny Farr to come on my channel together, maybe.
She has been telling her story. It's called her diary.
Yeah, but you can't believe that stuff. Oh.
She can't control what questions you ask, so that's why she won't do it. She just talks about it on her diary, where she has complete control of what she says.
Maybe what Carol Baskin needs to do is reach out to Amanda Knox, because Amanda Knox has made it very clear she's willing to give Carol the benefit of the doubt.
She should. She should. And Amanda Knox would be a perfect person for that, because Amanda knows what it's like to be accused of a crime that she didn't commit. But
and we're not necessarily saying that's the case with Carol, but maybe it could be.
I mean, she's innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
However, with that being said, people can have their opinion also, but we do need to be careful and choose our words carefully. And if you're under the opinion that someone committed murder, like if I had the opinion that I believe Don Lewis was murdered by a certain someone, I need to say, well, that's my opinion. I mean, I have an opinion, and other people can too. Yeah. But we also need to remember that people are innocent until proven guilty. Yeah. And we don't want to try anyone by media for sure. We don't want that. But
if I came up with something that said she's innocent, I would definitely share it with you guys. I mean, I'm not out to just.
Yeah.
In my opinion, she does have a lot of answers that she needs. She has, there's a lot of questions she needs to answer still. And until she does in some way, she's going to always have that suspicion hanging over her head, not just the suspicion that I have over her, but lots of people do,
Yeah, I'd just like to know, how did she know Don was not coming back? That's all I want to know. How do you know he was never coming back?
Yeah, fair point.
I can tell you her answer now. She's psychic, I mean, that was one of her things.
It was in the tarot cards. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, and there are.
Psychic, should you know where he is too?
Well, her powers don't go that far.
I got.
Yeah, she's obviously. I mean, you're right. I mean, and everybody's entitled to that. So, I would just say this. I mean, yes, she's entitled to. She's innocent until proven guilty. But that doesn't mean that the stuff that these brilliant people who are looking into the Don Lewis situation, that doesn't mean that what they're finding is, without merit, because there's a lot of it that seems to have a great deal of merit. So Carol, unfortunately, is going to have to deal with that because, as long as people keep looking and finding things of merit, it's not likely to go away.
It's not going to go away.
Yeah.
Where's Mikey's question about the ticket? What's he talking about? About a ticket.
What ticket?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Someone's saying.
Answer my question about the ticket.
Yeah, what ticket is it?
Mike Taylor.
I was reading something.
We see here. I gotta go and
All right,
scroll
from
Mike Taylor's original question somewhere.
about the plane
His
ticket.
ticket was for the end of the month, but he came up missing on the 18th. I believe his ticket for the Costa Rica trip was for later that week. Like he was supposed to ship it on Monday through a barge, like ship trucks or whatever he was bringing down there.
All right, so
and
here's
then a few
how.
days later.
Yeah, all right, here's how it works. On Friday, he tells Ann to get these titles ready for these vehicles that they're taking to Costa Rica. He's not actually taking them to Costa Rica. He's taking them to Miami. And then at Miami, they load them on a barge. And then the barge takes like 2 to 3 days to get to Costa Rica. So what Don would do is he would get a couple of drivers to drive vehicles down to Miami. They would load the cars up, and then they would all get in a vehicle and drive back together. Now, I believe it was three cars. So Don would have had to have 3 drivers to go down there. And normally what he would do is call them on Sunday and say, hey, I need like Mr. Baker, Mr. Baker's son, and maybe Kenny Farr. He would call them on Sunday and say, hey, tomorrow morning we're leaving early. We're going to take these cars to Miami. They would take them down there. They'd load them up on a barge. Then they'd come back to Tampa. And then a couple of days later, Don would get on a commercial flight and fly to Costa Rica. And then he could be there when the cars came in, so he could pay whatever fees he needed to pay for import fees or whatever it was at Costa Rica. But there could have been a plane ticket for the Wednesday or Thursday, which would have been the 20th or the 21st for a commercial flight to go to Costa Rica.
He never made that flight or
no.
anything.
He never. Yeah, he never made it to. He never called those guys on Sunday, which he would have normally done. But the fact that he didn't call those guys on Sunday means that he was not, he wasn't alive, in my opinion, of course.
Right.
Early.
Yeah.
The flight was out of Miami. Yes. So he would have gone out later that week and taken a commercial flight from Miami, right?
Yeah,
Not
I don't know if he.
Tiny plane,
If Ann's still here, Ann could answer that question if the flight was out of Tampa or if it was out of Miami. I don't know where it was out of.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where the barge shipment.
The barge was Miami. The barge was out of Miami. That's where the barge would leave from.
Right.
All right, who's talking about? All right, what's Sean? Tell Carol she wants to make Ripper her new Joe. Oh, she doesn't want to do that. Trust me, Carol does not want to make me her new Joe. She's smarter than that. She doesn't want to do that. All right, so it was from Miami to Costa Rica. So he would have driven back to Miami on Wednesday, or I think what Ann had told me was however long it took for the barge to get to Costa Rica is, if it took 2 days, then he would fly out 2 days later, or if it was 3 days or 4 days. But,
right.
He never went on that flight, though.
Right.
And Chris Hansen, on a news on there's a news broadcast and the documentary. In one of those, she says that Dawn told her to have Kenny get the truck ready. And then in the other one, she doesn't bring Kenny up at all. But
Right.
I don't know if that's that big of a deal.
She says that he says he wants to get the truck ready because he's leaving early to Miami. That was her earlier interview.
Oh, did she say Miami on that?
She did.
Yeah.
And then the second time she says it is on Tiger King. She says he told her to tell Kenny to get the truck ready because he was leaving early to go to Costa Rica. So
Yeah, and that's another part where she screwed herself in her story is where the van was found, how the van got there, the airport the van was at was a private airport for the smaller planes. And I almost said Ripper. And Don wouldn't have taken that small plane to Costa Rica because he would have to stop several times for fuel, like Joe Fritz said. And so I just think I think that's another area.
Here's another thing you have to think about. Everybody thinks, well, maybe he met somebody because he was buying some lightweight plane or whatever it was.
Right.
But that was not his plan that morning. Carol will tell you what his plan was that morning. He was to get up early, go to Miami to ship those trucks or cars. So there would be no reason for him to be at that airport whatsoever that morning.
Right.
Because he had a plan, go to Miami and ship those trucks.
Right. Yeah.
So that's why I rule out anything with that plane, with the small plane, all of that's all ruled out to me.
And to me, that right there it's just even more for the sheriff, Chad. Like he's just not putting it all together. He has more than enough circumstantial evidence, and just taking the different variations of her story and what she said in one story, putting it with another story, and that clicks. So I don't know. She just, I think he's dropping the ball big time.
Kenny Farr said it best in Tiger King. He said, but he meant it in a different way, I think. He said, why would he be planning on disappearing and leaving his van from where he's disappearing from? Then that's a clue. Yes, it's a clue. It's still a clue. The clue is he didn't fly out of there, but his van was there without license plate. That's a clue.
Yeah,
that is a clue.
And where are the sheriff's department looking for the clues?
And he wasn't doing business. He wasn't doing business at that airport. That was not an airport he would have flown out of. So that's something that. Here's a couple of things. Here's a couple of things that probably backfired. I don't know if Carol was aware that Don had quit doing business at that airport. He didn't have any planes there anymore. He was upset with the owner because the owner had screwed him out of like $5,000. So Don wasn't doing business at that airport, so he sure wouldn't have flown out of that airport. And then another thing is in 2001, there's a story out there. Here, let me pull up the story before I talk about it. And then I'll show you another thing that Carol did that probably backfired on her. Give me a second here. I'll find it. You guys can keep talking, though. It might take me a minute because I'm slow.
Might take Johnny a minute. Yep, absolutely. So I was always wondering about one of the first videos you did, Ripper, where you were talking to, I believe it might be Kenny's ex-wife. Is that who we're talking about?
That was the second video.
I mean, I'm wondering about, because that was interesting to me because there was supposedly all those guns and where did they end up and everything. So is that still being tracked down, or has that been debunked, or is that still part of it?
It's real. It's real. The guns went to the sheriff's department and they have them.
Yeah.
It's real. Yeah, it's real.
Okay.
Well, they have the guns.
And but they do have them? You confirm that?
They have them. And they were collected from Trish.
And
They have them.
Okay.
Well, that's good.
You know that already. You guys already know that, right?
Dude, do you know what I know that I forget that I know?
I know there's a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of stuff.
There's a lot, and it is hard to remember everything. But yeah, they have them. They have them.
Okay. So that's interesting. So, okay. And I remember the thing about that call was that he had supposedly he had said Don wasn't around. He had mentioned that to Trish, I think, or
yeah. What Trish? Yeah, Trish says that Kenny comes home Sunday evening around 11 p.m. He's driving Don's van, and he's got all these guns in it. And she asked her, like, Kenny, what's up? What's going on? What are you doing? And he's like, help me unload these guns. He's like, Don's gone. Nobody knows where he's at. Don't talk about him. If anybody calls, don't talk about him on the phone. And that was Sunday evening from what she says.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And so that's 2 days before Don's reported missing.
Right. Right. Which I always thought was interesting. It was one of the first videos I watched of yours when
very interesting.
Moved into Tiger King. So
very interesting.
Yeah. So all right. So I mean, so to talk about the next big thing, obviously, or maybe one of the next big steps in the Don Lewis case potentially, is a move I've seen Ripper make before. For those of you that worked with us on Joni Goodwin, I remember we were doing the same type of thing of we were trying to help promote a particular sheriff in the area where Joni had been unfortunately murdered, and we met with some success on that too.
He got elected sheriff, didn't he?
He got elected sheriff,
he sure did.
And they looked into the cold case. There was some things that happened, so we did have some success there. So I was pretty excited. It may have sounded sarcastic in group the other day, folks, when I said I've seen Ripper make this move before, but I was actually being sincere. I've seen him do it, and it's a good move. So I'm actually very excited about this, trying to help the Hillsborough County Sheriff, Charles Boswell, trying to get in there, because not just for Don Lewis's sake, folks, but something I'm going to let Johnny go ahead and talk a bit about right now, but Megan White. That situation is tragic and horrible, and I'm glad he is really stepping up to the plate, and he's trying to do what he can to set it right and maybe bring some more credibility back to the Hillsborough Sheriff's Department. So I'll let Johnny talk about it a bit.
Yeah, and we did that, guys. We'll go back to the sheriff of Osage County. Richard and I were looking in a cold case from I don't even know how many years ago it was.
It's in the 90s, I believe.
It was in the 90s, so It was probably 30 years old, maybe.
Yeah.
And I had talked to one of the detectives who had worked on the original case, and it's never been solved. But this guy was going to run for sheriff, and he told me if he's elected sheriff, he would look into the case. He would let us help. Anyway, long story short, he gets elected sheriff. They make an arrest in the case. Now, There are some things that have happened since then, but he did get a lot of information. I gave him some information, and there was an arrest made, and that's all I just wanted the information to be used, and it was used.
Yeah.
I mean,
we did what we could, and
right. Yeah. And the person that was arrested is the person that we thought was responsible. I mean, I went out knocking on doors, talking to witnesses. Same thing I'm doing here.
Yep.
But yeah, if you can get a good, honest, law-abiding sheriff that wants real justice, you need to do what you can do to get them elected sheriff so that they can come in and do what's right. But yeah, I have done this before, and we're going to try to do it again.
Sure.
Because I think it's the right thing to do.
It's effective, which it was before. So
the thing with Megan White, with Charles Boswell, if you look up Charles Boswell sues Hillsborough County, you'll find a newspaper article, and then you'll find a link to like 129 page or 135 page complaint. And
Right.
you can read, I mean, it reads like a book, and there's some really crazy stuff in the lawsuit. But what happened is there was a girl being questioned at, I think it was at a hospital actually, and one of the detectives told this girl, if you confess, we'll let you go home.
Right.
Kind of like what they did with Brendan Dassey, where they said, just tell us what happened and everything will be okay. We're your friends. You know, they basically told this girl, if you confess, we'll let you go home. So of course she thought she was going to get to go home, and she just confessed. Well,
right.
yeah, and under Florida law, it's illegal to, you know, tell someone, if you confess, we'll let you go home. So
Right.
Charles was there. They ended up arresting the girl, and Charles told them, you can't arrest her. What you did was illegal. Well, time goes on, and then that girl has a court date. And at court, they want to call Charles Boswell to the stand because he was there. You know, he was a witness, but he tells them he's not going to go up there and lie under oath. He's not going to say, you know, he's going to say, I'm going to tell the truth. So the fact that he would not protect the blue line, they started going after him. They started going into his cases. And I can't say, well, if you read the lawsuit, you'll just see a lot of stuff. But they started undermining his cases. And one of the cases was this girl, Megan White, her baby.
Yeah.
And Charles was the lead detective on the case. And the girl's 5-week-old baby was injured badly by the mom's boyfriend. But they ended up, he basically got a confession from the guy. Case is done, over with, everything's fine. But what happens is the sheriff's department, they go into that case and try to undermine Charles's work and start, you know, they basically go after the mom. Even though they had a timesheet that showed the mom was at work when the injuries happened,
right?
They basically said, no, we're not going to look at that. We're going to put that over here. Nobody's going to see it. But long story short, the girl lost her custody of her baby. It's been 5 years now. She still has not seen her baby. She still does. I mean, it's a horrible, horrible, horrible story. But that's just one of many stories that they did to his cases. But he doesn't work for him anymore. He retired. But one of the reasons he wants to be sheriff is so that he can go in and fix this stuff that got broken while they were coming after him. They were retaliating against him for not lying under oath.
Right.
And for someone to stand up against that kind of stuff to protect the actual rights of people, he should be hired as sheriff. He should be the guy that does that stuff. Are you
a lot of credibility? This is a filing by Megan.
Yep.
Federal courts.
Yep.
Folks, and it's interesting, and I want to show you something right here because where it talks about what kind of went on with Charles Boswell here. It says the theory of the plaintiff's case is that the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office and the state's attorney's office had a personal vendetta against one HCSO detective named Brian Boswell. According to plaintiff, Boswell was being wrongfully drummed out of the HCSO for various failures to be a team player and his refusal to be corrupt. The first line of the corrected amended complaint states, this case arises out of Boswell v. Gee. That is what I believe Johnny was just referring to, the legal document he was just referring to, which is Boswell's suit pending in this court before Judge Elizabeth Kovich. Anyway, sorry, struggling with that one. Against many of these same parties, seeking recompense for the conspiracy to force Boswell out of the HCSO to defame him. Indeed, at the May 8th, 2019 hearing on a plaintiff instant complaint, Boswell was present, but plaintiff was not. Boswell and the plaintiff share lawyers. Okay, so what it's saying is that that her complaint is coming from his complaint. Because she found out that he was going through this, she was able to amend her complaint to make this complaint that she's filed. Unfortunately, folks, I've read it, and when you start reading it, you might think it's breaking her way, but by the time you get to the end of it, it's a complete mess. It's more, this is essentially another form of AEDPA, where they basically found a procedural reason to tell her to go F herself.
Yep. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and it sucks. So I really hope that Mr. Boswell is going to be able to get in there and he's going to be able to shake this up and set some things right. So yeah, very, very, very excited to see what he may be able to do about that.
Yeah, it's a heartbreaking case, that one is. And there really needs to be some media coverage on that, on her case, because it's been dismissed. And that's a travesty of our justice system, is that because a sheriff's department retaliated against one of their officers for not lying under oath, we have a mom who has now become a victim for no other reason except retaliation against someone who wouldn't lie under oath. It's horrible. It's
and I'll say probably a lot of guys might have come up against this and had their own entire department working against them essentially, and they might have just walked away and said, you know what, it
ain't worth it.
It ain't worth it, right? But he's not. He's sticking in.
Right.
He's going, nope, I am not going to sit by and watch this stupid bullshit happen. Gotta admire the guy. I really do. I got to admire that. I would imagine a lot of people would just walk away.
It'd be easy. It'd be easy to walk away. Plus, he would have got a promotion. Had he lied under oath, he would have probably got a promotion.
Right. Yeah. So
yeah, it's sickening.
He's thinking about the right things, and he was getting punished for it. So I'm very, very happy that he's looking to take charge there. That's a good sign for me. So, and we will definitely try to reach out to him and talk to him. So
I'm going to look see if he texted me back.
Oh yeah,
he hasn't.
I think something that's working out in Boswell's favor right now is that Chad came out and did the interview with one of the news stations and admitted that yes, he knows that the signatures are forged. So he came out and admitted that, and man, Carol's supporters are pissed. So Charles has also come out and given his opinion or whatever. So I don't know if that'll benefit him there, but now Chad is, not working.
Say that he believes that Don was murdered in one of those.
Yes, one of his very first ones he did, and he still keeps putting it out there that she's not a person of interest, but she's not stupid. You know what I'm saying? She knows that he's basically agreeing with all of this that we've put out there and that other people have put out there and researched and found. He's not necessarily disagreeing with it. He's just not like working to move forward with it. And then him coming out and saying what he said in regards to the will, it's giving Boswell a greater chance, in my opinion.
Sure. And those things about the will should have perked his attention. So, it perked my attention. That's for sure. Plus, he looks like a cowboy.
No, that's T1 for you. That's not his first rodeo.
Right. Nope. Exactly.
Cowboy up. Oh man.
Cowboy.
Nothing but a stump. In this case, I think we're the guilters.
There's nothing like the guilters. There's nothing like nothing ever compares to the guilters.
I feel weird. It makes me feel funny.
Don't bring that up ever again, please. And I'll tell you something. I got to tell you something that's kind of funny, because there's someone who's really, really knowledgeable about this case, and they have a lot of good comments. And their name is Chad Zeller with a Z. It's with a Z though, but it's not the same as. Anyway,
are we
when-
doing this right now?
we are doing it. We are.
Wow. Okay.
Because when he first came out and was making comments, I thought, oh, it's got to be the one, but it's not. It's someone else.
How do you know?
I
Where's
don't.
the verification?
Yeah,
I don't.
Picture ID, and we don't need any mishaps on it live, like other one.
Oh, it's Pom Pom. Is Pom Pom trying to come join?
We don't want to identify those credentials.
I feel bad for her.
For Pom Pom or Tracy or Jerome? I feel bad for
All
Jerome
of
having to
us.
see it.
All of us
Jerome
who
was
were
like,
watching.
What's her name? That's
you know what
kind
we're
of
talking about?
that's kind of how Jane looked yesterday when you called
Oh,
called
when I
out
called
her
and
and he
Howard?
answered.
I know. What Jane looked like when I held up my drawing of the what she looked like when I held that up.
I think she even gagged a couple of times.
Yeah, I got to turn the page. It's staring right at me. It's like it's like one eye staring at me.
Right. Yeah. There you go.
It kind of looks like the same thing that was in that video.
Yeah.
An extra belly button.
Oh,
He better be
no.
Zeller.
Okay, we can't go there. No, an
So-
extra belly button.
I don't even know what you're talking about now.
So let's get back on the rails here. So what is Charles Boswell?
An extra belly button.
Who's he running against? How
That's
strong
the
is that guy as an incumbent? I mean, what's he looking at in those terms? When he stops laughing and giggling, folks.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's the extra belly button, and I now get it. I'm like, that's it. Yeah, it could have been a belly button. It very well could have been. Okay, he's running against Chronister.
You don't
Chronister. What was that question? Do you know what we're talking about?
Right. So here we go again. So he's running against. You answered part of it. You said Chronister. Okay, so he's running against Chronister. How
August
strong is
18th.
Chronister as an incumbent? What's Charles looking at? And what do you think are the chances that he might be successful?
Oh
Well, I
man,
guess you might say
it's going to be tough.
Either way, how's it shaping up the race?
Well, it's early yet. I mean, right. Charles just announced that he was running like 3 weeks ago, I think. But one of the things he's up against is Chronister's wife's family is worth almost $700 million.
Oh, wow.
So Chronister's father-in-law used to own the San Francisco 49ers. They have tons of money. So it's hard to win an election when you're against someone who has unlimited resources, basically. Right. But we're going to have to raise some money for Boswell at some point. I'm going to go there again pretty soon.
Right.
And I'm going to sit down with him and figure out some ways that we can do some fundraisers or something to help him, because it takes a lot of money to win an election. But he's got to knock on doors. He's got to get his name out there to other people, because Chronister's on TV all the time, and especially with this case.
Yep.
He's
using that to his advantage right now.
Yeah.
He don't care about the case. He cares about putting his face out there and
so
making it look like he cares.
He also has a publicist for his political campaign, and then I think there's a separate one. Stop it. For the I don't know. I was under the impression he had two different ones. But one of his
name him? She's gonna name him.
Anthony right? Something. He's extremely vocal. I don't know his last name. Pacini, something like that.
And all you got to do is Google the guy, and it's not good. It's not good.
That's not. Publicist, you mean? Okay.
Yeah. I just think that Chad, just like with every job, everything in the world, you have the money to back you and the right people to get in your corner. I mean,
right. So Chronister
Mother-in-law
hired the
pardon?
devil's spin doctor, right?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
As long as we know. All right, okay, so that makes sense. Well,
Yeah, but I think there's enough things that we can do. I think if we get Charles out there to speak, and he's pretty vocal about this case, and I think that's going to actually help him. I think the media would love to talk to him, and I mean, here you have a guy that's running for sheriff who publicly says this case is solvable. Like, right. Chronister hasn't said that. Chronister said we don't have any suspects yet. Yeah, the will was forged. Well, we knew that a long time ago. I mean, like, we've already known that. It's nothing new. But I think if Charles comes out and he does some local media stuff in that county and he says the things that he said to me, I think he's going to have a really good chance. We just got to get it out there. We got to get his name out there, and there's going to be some work to do.
Yeah, mainly we'll probably want to try to find businesses and things in that area of Florida and get, interviews with him attached to tweets and social media posts for stuff in that area. I think would be one effective way of trying to get it in, to where people will see him and get what he's about.
Hey, Don's talking about Andy's picture from back in the Bambi days. Hey, Don, is that a new picture, or is it? Because I've even looked through a bunch of those pictures from the Bambi days, trying to figure out if Andy was in any of them. So I'm just wondering if this is a new picture, or if it's one that's been out there for a while.
Let's see here.
All right, I'm going to say it because I don't think any of the officers or any of the people that were in any of those photos were from Manitowoc or Calumet County. There's one that looks like Ken Kratz, but Ken Kratz didn't look like that in 1980.
Right.
What did he look like?
He was a college. I can show you a picture of him.
I don't want to see a picture of him.
His own records.
Oh, yeah, you were torturing everybody with him during Mammothon, dude. Jeez.
yes.
Yeah, this guy.
I know, that was great, wasn't it? That was wonderful.
And that had nothing to do with Tiger King for you Tiger King or Carol Baskin watchers.
Yeah, this
that
is
has
something
to do
different.
with a different case.
Yeah, that picture I kept showing of Kratz. Oh man, it's sickening.
Hey, at least you didn't put up the one that somebody drew of him in a Speedo.
Oh, no, I didn't want to kill
I like the
anybody.
one of him at Dick Face Kratz.
What?
That's the best one.
I got that one off of the Instagram page.
Which one?
The Free Stephen Avery or Making a Murder, one of the original pages that has somebody's signature on there, but I don't know. Excuse me, I don't know who it was.
You mean the one of him is a Dick Face?
Hey,
yeah, that's the one that I got. That was my first time in trouble on Twitter, was because I made that my profile picture.
Right.
Erekose. All right, listen. Probably about a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago. You remember the video that I did? That I did with Ken Kratz and the like baby making music. It was a long time ago. It was like things you didn't know about Ken Kratz or whatever. And I did.
Is this your dream interview or
no? But I bet Nosey hasn't seen that one either.
Yes, it was the one you're talking about. It was your very first Making a Murder video.
The one with the music?
Where you played Jodeci in the background? Yes, I know exactly which video you're talking about.
I'm playing Trey songs. Like Panty Dropper.
In the next one.
And then no, it's a group called Next. Not
yes, Next.
It's a group called Next.
1998.
Right. So I got like those baby making songs playing with pictures of Ken Kratz going. And it's real gross, because it starts out as like, with Trey songs like this right here's a panty dropper, and then his picture pops up, and he's like, Nosey just saw that for the first time like 6 weeks ago, and she tweeted, she's like, "This is killing me. Are you kidding me?" I can't remember, but
I love Trey songs. I was heartbroken. I'm like, why would you do this to me?
I know, right? It's so funny though, because I watched that video before the Mammothon, and I just thought, what was I thinking, putting these pictures with this music? So now every time I hear that song, I think about Kratz.
Yeah.
Well, you just ruined it.
Came off the bedroom playlist that day.
I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to find that video, and then someone could put it in the link so that when we're done, people can go and watch it so they can see what I'm talking about.
Stick in the description.
And I think it says that you have to be 18 years or older to watch it, I believe. Okay, I just got a text from Boswell. Let me see what he says.
All right.
Okay,
I'm about to post a link to that video.
You are okay.
Yeah, if it might kick me, I'm still live though.
All right. He said he just got my text, but I'm telling him we're still going. So if he wants to jump in here, that would be good.
Linda says she doesn't think those pictures are of anybody in Manitowoc. Let's see here. T says he doesn't need songs. He's ready to go a cappella apparently.
Will you dance too?
Yeah. Well, there you go. Inquiring minds. T, the ladies want to know. Are you going to dance too?
Who are you guys talking to me?
No, we were talking
to T1.
Oh, I don't know if you should ask T1 to do anything like that. I wouldn't trust T1 because T1 is, I like to call him. Well, let's just say T1 and. Well, no, I don't want to compare him to R. Kelly. Never mind, because T1 talks about what's the old joke he talks about? Putting the fire out or something. He's got to go to the bathroom. He can put the fire out, or what is it?
Oh, he drinks a lot of beer. Yeah,
drinks a lot of beer, or a lot of peeing, or something. All right.
Yeah, he's like Rick Moranis in Strange Brew, right, where he pisses out the fire. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Jynxie, I posted the link in the mod chat. I can't post it here, but I got the link to your video.
Okay, so I can't either, but what I'll do is I'll text it to Erekose. That's what I'll do.
All right. Send it through Messenger. It's easier.
Okay, that's what I'm going to do.
I'll send it. Here you go, Erekose. I'm sending it to you right now.
Okay. So by the time you get it, it could be something different. You know how a message goes through a bunch of different people, it changes.
That's called, what's it called? Telephone?
Yep.
It says what you might not know about.
Called payphone.
Danny Kratz.
Yeah. All right, folks. Here it is in the live chat, and I'll put this down in the description afterwards.
Yeah, you can just watch it later. You don't have to watch it now. Just do it for later.
What you might not know about Kratz, watch at least 4 minutes.
Yeah, it's horrible.
So that's funny.
Yeah.
That song by Next, though. That's a funny thing, man. I remember when that song came up in the past, back in year 2, when we were talking about that. But when you brought that song up, I was like, oh yeah, dude, that was the baby making song right there, dude. Holy Christ, there was a lot of babies got made by that one. That song was hot, dude. That thing was off the hook. I remember back when that song came out.
And now all you can think of is Kratz.
Right? Yeah.
I saw them live. I love that group, but not anymore. Thanks.
Yeah.
R.I.P. next. Oh,
All right. So, what else? What else is there about Dawn maybe that I maybe haven't mentioned here?
Did you talk about Jamie's signatures by chance?
I
The
don't.
fact that Carol even used her daughter?
Oh, really?
Yes.
I haven't heard of that one. Yeah.
No, but hey, who knows about the payment that Chuck made? I just learned about that this morning. I'm a
Oh,
couple
yeah.
days behind on that. So, does anyone have information on that? I don't know enough about it to talk about it.
I don't either.
I haven't had I saw what you posted, but I haven't looked at all. But that's very interesting information.
Good thing for us to work out.
Erekose, I tagged you on Facebook in a post that what we're talking about. I tagged you on a post at around 2:30 and
Yeah.
said you might want to look into this, but I don't know if you can pull that post up on here or not. But there's some things in there that look pretty interesting that one of our group members posted by the name of Pam Swan. And is that the...
This is the one you tagged me in.
Okay, so you'll have to go up to the very top of the, like, her post where she narrates, you know, she explains what... All right, up there where it says on 1/22/1990.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's that post there. And then you might have to click see more. I'm going to point at my screen so you can see. Can you see where I'm pointing? Okay, so, and then all you got to do is hit Control+ to zoom in.
Yeah, that's something new I learned today. So thank you.
Me too.
Hey, what the hell? What the hell? All right.
Yeah, so this here is pretty interesting.
I'll be right back.
All right, see you. Bye.
All right. So let's see. On
all right, so Vernon and Mary, that's Carol's parents.
Right.
And then they have a son, Vernon Stairs Jr. And Vernon is also known as Chuck, so he goes by Chuck. So Chuck is the brother that worked for the sheriff's department when Dawn went missing.
Okay.
All right, so they talk about Vernon took out a loan for $15,000, a line of credit on the house on June 18th. So Dawn went missing a month later.
Okay.
So a month before, he takes out a $15,000 line of credit on the house. Or wait, sorry, 2 months later.
Yeah, and what was the date that Dawn filed the restraining order? Because it was in June. Is that the same day?
June 12th was when he filed the restraining order.
After he filed the restraining order.
6 days after he files the restraining order against Carol, he takes out this line of credit, and then a month later, his parents give an $11,000 mortgage to Melissa Stairs on a condo in Tampa. Let's see.
Junior gave his parents that money.
Yeah, see, I only read this real quick, but I didn't try to break anything down or look at any documents. And then in September, are you pulling up the document?
Those are all the documents there.
Yeah, the mortgages. Let's keep going. Let's keep reading, though. September 18th. All right, so Chuck modifies his equity line of credit from $15,000 to $35,000. All right, so she's showing all the documents below that support this stuff.
Right.
All right, all right, so that was September. So that's a month after Dawn went missing. The timing of this is interesting. Did he give some of that additional $20,000 to Carol for the tax deed sale that happened on September 22nd, or maybe she needed the money for some other purpose? All right, let's see. 9/22.
Timing is interesting.
Carol paid $8,000 at a tax deed sale for property in Seffner. Okay, let's see the address on this page 1 tax deed document. Let's see if that's the 725 East 92 Highway document.
Because don't you remember Trish saying that she had no idea how Kenny, quote unquote, got the money?
Yeah, I do remember that.
So that would make perfect sense.
Why is it shifting everything over?
I don't know. I think I'm going to have to print these out and go through this to find out. We just need the address for
The 92, the 922 date, or
it'd be 725
oh,
East 92 Highway is the address of the farm.
Yeah.
Someone open a beer?
That was a Coke, not a beer. I went to say it before you even said anything.
I'll have to print these out and see. I'll print them out and find out where it's at.
yeah. I don't see that address yet. Anyway,
I haven't even seen that post yet today. Honestly, the notifications are out of control, and I haven't even made it there.
Well, I'll pull it up and look at it because there could be something there, or maybe not. But that's what's really good about the group is that you'll get people like for instance, this post. Not only is there a theory there, but there's also documents to support this theory. And when you have documents put in there, then you can come up with facts, maybe facts. But to support the theory, if you have documents, I mean, it really helps. But that's something there that I'll have to print out and go over it. And then we got to find out, where did that money go? And was it payment?
Do we know? We probably do know, and I just don't remember. How long after this happened did Chuck retire from the department and move on to Easy Street?
I don't know.
I don't think he lives on Easy Street. He lives in a house that the parents used to own or something.
Okay,
that was like
we don't
the
know.
I don't know where that is. And I think they said in one of those articles with Chronister just recently with the whole burglary thing, he said that he had been retired for 5 years now. So he probably retired in 2015 is my guess.
Okay.
Hey,
which would have been what 18 years after Don went missing.
I'm reading T1's comment about okay. Hey, and Mikey Taylor, Kenny received 3 properties in the month of September, but I think it was 6 months later he received more properties, and eventually I think he received 9 or 10 total properties within a year after Don went missing, or right around that time frame. But I know there were 3 and then there were more. I just don't remember if it was 9 total properties or 10. I think when I talked to Trish in person, I can't remember if she told me it was a total of 10 properties that Kenny ended up getting. But I had asked her, I said, well, maybe Carol gave Kenny the properties so he could manage them. And Trish said, no, he was not the kind of person that would be managing properties. So she's like, that would not happen. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting, that.
How about this? Does Kenny even know that she put properties in his name? I mean,
he might not know, except the one on Bellevue. He has to know because
maybe we should look at his signatures too on some of those things.
Maybe
because
so.
The way that she does business, you might have to look at that.
He did. There was a mortgage taken out on that property on Bellevue, and there was
But that's where he and his wife lived, right? And his family. So, I mean, that would probably be legitimate. Well, and maybe how she had his signature.
Maybe, but he never paid. He got like a check for, I've heard $37,000. Also, someone told me $50,000, but he got the property on Bellevue. It was given to him. He took a mortgage out on it, and then got a check for the equity on it. And then he never made a mortgage payment on the house, ever.
Oh.
And
Oh,
So then it go back to Carol because then he
That-
like defaults on whatever. It goes back to the mortgage person. Was it the mortgage in her name?
I don't think it was actually. That's the property on Bellevue. I had talked about. I had asked one time. We need to track down the property in Bellevue and find out if Carol ever bought it when it went into foreclosure. Because my thinking was, she gave Kenny the land. He took a mortgage out on it. He got a check, cashed it in. House goes into foreclosure. House is auctioned off. Carol goes back and buys it again for cheap. And then she just keeps doing this cycle of, buying foreclosures, basically.
oh, right. Yeah, if she's able to buy them cheap, it's like free money.
Yeah. It's a
That's
great
the
racket.
business they were pretty much in. Is that they would do a lot of tax deed auctions. It sounded like they would buy them cheap and then they would resell them for profit. I mean, that's how Don seemed to make his money in real estate. And then he would also mortgage it sometimes with
Right.
a percentage that he would then make back, selling the property for a little more and then all that percentage after it's all paid off.
Right.
So that that's kind of what his business was. Where she's taking it though is a different direction, and maybe that was also part of the problem that they were having in their marriage.
Right.
There's no telling how many times one property has been mortgaged by a nonprofit and then taken back. And I mean, it's never ending. Like,
yeah, mortgaged by a nonprofit and then lost. Right.
Here's let me show you.
Tina's theory is that she's been doing this real estate fraud kind of thing all along, and that the big cats and all of what she's doing with the activism is to distract everybody from the real estate business that she has and be more focused on that.
It could be because there's so many.
I don't know if you can see how thick this is. This is one email that one person sent me. That they're like, these are the documents just for what happened with my stuff. And I mean, this is one person, and it's probably an inch thick of just notarized documents, and it's crazy how much stuff people send and have. There's a lot of information that people have right now, which is really good, but it takes so much time to go through it all.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's good that I'm glad you took this one up, dude. I mean, this is pretty interesting. I mean, I don't know. Tiger King itself had some pretty interesting characters in it, obviously. And it was, somewhat interesting to get an idea or look into that world, but obviously to see this criminal justice issue, I know that, I know a lot of people aren't as fired up about it as I am, but man, that whole damn smoke and mirrors murder for hire thing with Jeff Lowe at the end of the documentary, that just rubs me the wrong way.
It's interesting.
It's really interesting. It's hard not to.
But I like you guys. I am moved by wanting justice for Don Lewis and wanting his family to have some closure on this, and so I'm really glad you guys are working so hard at it and really coming up with some really very interesting stuff that may help explain it in the end. So
I hope so. Well, I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of people working on it. I mean, there is,
like I said, they must have been pretty desperate and everything before Tiger King came out. They probably didn't have anybody listening to him.
The family
that was willing to, they didn't,
take up or champion their cause. So, I mean, you guys definitely deserve a hand or dedefinitely deserve a pat on the back. So
they weren't desperate. They weren't desperate at all. They had given up. They didn't think justice would ever happen. They had given up hope. They were done with it. They were done talking about it. They were defeated by Carol. She threatened them. I mean,
Right.
they were done, but they now. I mean, even Donna told me this morning that they feel like they have an army of supporters standing behind them.
Right.
And they do. They absolutely do. They have a army of people just waiting, just like, what can we do to help? Because it feels good. They still can't believe. They still say, we still don't understand why you people are helping us. But they don't understand it. They're like, why? Why are all these people helping? Like, we don't understand.
Right.
Of course, with the Stephen Avery case and the Eagle Cycles and all that, and this is not our first rodeo, so we're kind of like, this is what we do. Like, what do you mean it's weird? It's not weird. This is what we do.
Yeah. Congrats, genre. Yeah.
They're still learning about crowdsourcing and people that take time away from their families to do good in the world, to fight evil, basically.
There was nothing like this back then in 97.
No.
In its infancy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
the support goes past our group too, because we're almost to the 3,000 mark, but there's so many other groups out there. There's another Justice for Don Lewis group. It's more of a meme group, but they still have 11,000 people, and the support backing the Lewis family. I mean, even though they're not in our group, they're not researching or whatever, but we get all kinds of comments in other Joe groups and Tiger King groups and stuff like that when you really start to talk to them outside of the memes and stuff. And that's what gets people to join. They're like, oh, wow, there's like really someone looking into the case. And that's how we built the group. So I think it's really cool that they have so many people behind them. I mean, just so many.
Yeah, it's good. It's great. It's great that they do. I mean, I remember seeing them in the documentary, and how defeated, as Johnny said, they looked. So it's very good. I'm very gratified to know that their hope is returning. So
yeah, that all of that goes out to Miss Ann too, because I just love her, and all that support goes out to her for what she's had to go through just for being a good friend.
Yep.
Erekose, can you believe Ann McQueen is in your chat right now?
I did. Yeah.
Can you believe that?
Yep.
I mean,
big tip of the hat for Ann McQueen. Thank you for all you're doing as well, Ann.
All right. Ann's a big player in this thing. She's a big player. She has a lot of information, and she's had the same story since, Friday, August 15th, 1997. Her story hasn't changed. She's got the same story, and she was one of Dawn's best friends.
Right.
Yeah.
I did watch your interviews with her, and so yeah. Very interesting, obviously. So if you're saying I might get her on the channel, I'll certainly,
She won't even come back on my channel anymore. I think you're gonna.
She's a firecracker.
I think she's done talking.
Yeah, well, that's fine if she is. If she's not, either way.
Just have Ripper call her on the phone.
I'm not doing that again. I may or may have not got in trouble for that.
May or may not. I cannot confirm or deny if I got in trouble for that.
Every time I say Ann's a really sweet person, she tells me to be quiet. So I'm not going to say anything nice about her anymore. I'm probably getting a text right now from her. Not really. All right. I got to get back to working on my car. I got to get this thing put back together.
And T1's got his cape on, so I think that marks the end of this thing. So.
Oh, no. What's that mean? I don't even want to know what that means. He's like, yeah. No?
I want to know. What is
I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
That's all he's wearing.
Right? Yeah, probably. And his ball gag.
I'm just every time I see T1's name pop up, I get nervous. I'm just like, do I want to read that or not? You gotta love the guy, though, right? I mean, he's funny as hell.
Yeah, we love T1. He's one of the originals. So,
hey, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me on here.
Thanks for having me too.
Yep. Thank you.
Me too. Thanks for sharing the love.
Yep.
Girls, get back to work. You're behind 2 hours.
You sure?
All right, folks.
I gotta go make dinner.
Nope. She's got to make dinner, man. She can't work yet. She got to do her homework first. Anyways, no. So anyway, so hey everybody, thank you for being here. It's been a very interesting chat with these lovely people here. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe, and we'll see you.
Hit the thumbs up. Hit subscribe. Everybody stay safe.
Yep, and everybody stay safe. That's another one.
Right,
watch out there. It's a rough world at the moment.
Don't miss curfew.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.